dividing decimals. Just to help us understand this concept, let's have a look at something. Let's look at 100 divided by 10. Hopefully you know that that's equal to 10, because 10 times 10 is 100. What about 1,000 divided by 100? Well, that's actually also equal to 10, because 100 times 10 is 1,000. What about 10,000 divided by 1,000? Well, that also equals 10. So the point is that you can have different pairs of numbers that when divided equaling the same number. So let's have a look at 10 divided by 0.5, because the whole point is we want to learn how to divide by a decimal. So let's just rewrite that as 10 over 0.5. What we can do, we can times both of these numbers by 10 and make an equivalent fraction. And what happens is 10 times 10 is 100. 0.5 times 10 just moves the decimal place one place to the right to give us 5. And then 100 divided by 5 is equal to 20. And that's something you should actually memorize, that when you actually divide by a half, you're actually doubling your answer. So you can see that 10 divided by a half ended up being 20. It ended up doubling this number, and that happens every time when you divide by a half. Let's have a look at a more tricky example. Let's look at 6.912 divided by 0.12. Now, we always, when we divide decimals, we actually want to be dividing by a whole number, not a decimal. Which means we're going to have to move this decimal place 2 places to the right, which means we have to do the same over here. So moving them both 2 decimal places to the right makes us have 691.2 divided by 12. So then we're going to write that in short division form. 691.2 divided by 12. Now we want to see how many times does 12 go into 6? Well, it doesn't. How many times does 12 go into 69? Well, that's going to go in 5 times. Remainder 9. Then we're going to see how many times does 12 go into 91? It's actually 7 times, because 7 times 12 is 84. And that'll be remainder 7. And we always line up the decimal point, so we move it up. Now how many times does 12 go into 72? And that's actually exactly 6 times, and we get our final answer, 57.6. And that's actually the same as the original question now. So 6.912 divided by 0.12 gives us 57.6, just like it does with 691.2 divided by 12. Let's have a look at 0.4 divided by 0.3. Well, we always want to be dividing by a whole number, but here we're dividing by a decimal. So we need to move it 1 place to the right, which means we need to do the same for this. So we're just going to get 4 divided by 3. So I'll write that in short division form. So we're going to have 4 divided by 3. So always what you're dividing by goes on the outside. Now, we're looking, does 3 go into 4? Well, it does. goes in one time. But the problem is there's one remainder and there's nowhere to put it. So when this happens, we've got to put a decimal place and a 0. And we've got a remainder 1. Now we're looking, and we always line up the decimal when we're dividing. And how many times does 3 go in a 10? Well, that goes in 3 times, remainder 1. Well, there's nowhere to put it, so we've got to put another 0 and a 1. How many times does 3 go in a 10? Well, it goes in 3 times, remainder 1. How many times does 3 go in a 10? Well, it goes in 3 times, remainder 1. 3 goes in a 10 3 times, remainder 1. Hopefully you get the idea. So this pattern's going to go on forever and ever. And we call this a recurring decimal that has a pattern. And we can write this as 1.3 with a dot above the 3 to show that that 3 goes forever. Alright, one more example. 0.54 divided by 9.9. We always want to be dividing by a whole number, which means we need to move this one decimal place to the right, which means we need to do the same over here. So this turns into this turns into 5.4 divided by 99. Now, we're going to write it in short division form. So 5.4 divided by 99. Does 99 go into 5? No, it doesn't. So write a 0. Line up the decimal points. Does 99 go into 54? No, it doesn't. So write a 0. Now we don't have any more numbers to use, so we've got to write a 0. We haven't used these numbers yet, so now we're checking if 99 goes into 540, which it does 5 times, and the remainder is 45. Now we're checking if 99 goes into 450, which it does 4 times, but there's a remainder, and that remainder is 54. So does 99 go into 540? So we're checking if 99 goes into 540. We already did that. It goes in 5 times, remainder 45. And if 99 goes into 450, 4 times, remainder 54. And this pattern will keep repeating forever and ever. So here we've got 2 numbers that repeat, and we can write this as 0.054, and since both the 5 and 4 repeat, we put dots above them both.